Hi, well, so let's begin. The lesson that I'm teaching during the first week is going to be on self-introduction for the students.
Right.
And in front of us, there's the unit plan template you can see.
Mm-hmm.
This lesson is a series of 5 lessons over a unit. The unit itself being self-introduction, where the students are going to learn how to create, write, and present their own unique, personalized self-introduction to their peers in their classroom.
Yeah.
They can choose to follow the workbook instructions, where they'll have to answer fill in the blank scenarios to cover issues about their family, their age, their dream job, their hobbies, their interests. The higher level students can add in more content. They can create and detail more exclusively single criteria or multiple criteria. Lower level students can reduce the amount of content they have to add, and we'll talk more about the differentiation later on. So how does that sound so far?
Perfect. Self-introductions are great for you.
Okay. So first, let's go on to the classroom expectations and routines. Could you tell me quickly what your classroom expectations and routines are?
Yeah, due to the nature of always new students with these classes, you have to reestablish your presence and rules every new period. And so at the beginning, you usually spend a few minutes introducing yourself to them, getting to know them, as well as establishing your rules and objectives for each lesson, which is 45 minutes long. And then that allows you to allows the students to get a hold of what they're expecting in the next few months.
Okay, so you begin with the routines of this is what I need to have these students know about my classroom before I can begin my class. And that's with your rules and your objectives. I like that. My own routines and expectations are very similar to that. And what you detailed, I like to set clear rules and objectives for the students to follow before they come into the classroom, as well as when they're ending the classroom. And that extends, I would want them to extend that into the hallway. So I like to tell my students this is not just their classroom rules. This is the campus-wide rules, expectations as well. My own expectations is I like to always be prepared, but it's nice to be prepared to not be prepared, where to have freedom to go where the students want to go. One of our cohort members, they actually had this in their lesson plan where they're always prepared to go and meet the student at the level they're at. And I thought that was very genius almost.
Especially when you don't know what you're getting when they walk in the door.
All right, I'm happy to move on if you are to the next category.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, learning standards. So the learning standard that I'm covering is going to be, as you can see in front of you, the students will write and present a personal self-introduction to the class, including relevant details about family, hobbies, and ambitions. This is more of a school-specific standard, and it's detailed as an objective, but it can be interpreted as a standard, especially when we get to the objectives that are detailed below. And let me just cover these. So as you can read on, students will be able to create a personalized self-introduction. This is also addressing the 21st century scale of creativity. Students will be able to present their self-introduction successfully and in ways which are interesting and captivating as they'll be delivering it to their classroom. This also covers the 21st century scale of creativity and communication. And then we have students will be able to peer review each other's work and suggest improvements, where we are hitting the 21st century scale of collaboration here. And the last one, students will be able to use various speaking mechanics to increase the quality of their presentation, and that's covering the 21st century scale of communication. So these objectives are broken down from the school standard, and over the course of the 5 self-introduction lessons, the students will come out at the end having covered a wide variety of 21st century skills, their ability to speak confidently in English and to present their own self-introduction, whether it's small or long or detailed or not too well detailed, it doesn't really matter, but they'll come out at the end of this process, this project will come out at the end, that little bit more developed and capable to give their self-introduction to an English speaker in the future. So what do you think about those learning standards, the unit, the objectives that I've detailed?
Yeah, very clear. I like the students will be able to use various speaking mechanics to increase the quality of the presentation. I think it can become static very easily, and they're not even sure what they are saying. So I like that. It seems they'll have a deeper meaning behind their self-introduction that way.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's incredibly important for them, and they seem to very much enjoy it. So differentiation of the students we talked about earlier, and I'll come back to it again. So the ESL classroom is very diverse, as you know. We have students that are gifted. We have students that have special needs. Sometimes we don't know they have special needs.
Right.
It can be a big challenge. So in terms of preparing for this, there's a lot we can do to prepare for it. There's very little sometimes we can do to actually
know beforehand
and implement with it. So I'll just go over the things that I have identified to how I'll differentiate, and you can just give me your opinion on them. So most of my differentiation will be done in class, kind of on the spot, because I might not know too well beforehand what students are gifted or what students are special needs. So the students that are of higher level, what I'll do is I will pair them up with students of lower level, and they'll act as mini mentors with them to help raise the lower students up using the native language as well as the English language. And this is a style of homogeneous and heterogeneous group work. I'll also have them work group pairs with the same level students to cover both elements. And with the special needs students, I can give them pictures to help illustrate their self-introduction. They might struggle with concepts of ambitions, dream jobs, hobbies, even age. They might have a difficulty writing the terminology down. So with the flashcards and with pictures, they can use these as props to showcase what it is they're trying to say. If the students if they're shy, if they're autistic, if they don't do well under pressure, then they can deliver their presentation to me one-on-one or quietly, while the rest of the students focus on another small task, and that will be on the moment come the 5th class. I won't know ahead of time until the student tells me that they don't want to deliver in front of the class. They'll have the option always to do the same work as the other students. It's up to them if they want to proceed with it, because I don't want them to feel left out or to feel like they're marginalized.
Yeah, so overlooking it, I think I wanted to look at section 2 first, standard 2 learning differences. We were just discussing it a little bit. But when we're looking at standard 2, it says the candidate uses understanding of individual differences, diverse cultures, and communities to ensure inclusive learning. We covered a little bit how you're going to do that, but when it says valuing students, candidate has marginally developed positive relationships all the way to outstanding. Candidate values students and promotes positive and respectful interactions. How are you going to make sure throughout the units that students are valuing the chosen either speaker or practicer, the one who's up in front giving their self-introduction?
Good question. I would mostly cover this with the classroom rules, the classroom expectations, the norms that I set, and they will know from the beginning of the class that speaking out of turn is not allowed. They'll understand that any sort of mockery behavior is completely not allowed, and I would hope that as they watch me value who they are and promote respect for them, that will become second nature to them.
Okay.
As they'll model my own behavior. So I'm hoping to cover that primarily with my own attitudes in the classroom.
I'm excited to see what you get.
Yeah. Well, okay, that brings us to a close. Thank you very much, Michael, for intending to meet with me.